As questions loom over the U.S. role in Afghanistan following the killing of Osama bin Laden, as well as potential reprisals from Taliban fighters and what remains of the al-Qaeda network, U.S. military commanders on the ground are still focused on the current mission and the fight ahead in this year's fighting season. Marine Sergeant Sgt Bryant spoke with Major General Richard Mills shortly after his return from commanding ISAF forces in southwest Afghanistan and brings us his view on the status of operations there.
Despite recent developments, the outgoing RC Southwest commander says the ideal drawdown of foreign troops in Afghanistan should still be a deliberate thinning out over months or even years.
Ideally, I think it's a process in which people just suddenly look around one day and notice that the coalition forces are gone, as opposed to us having had a parade out of town with bells and whistles and drums beating.
The gradual turnover to Afghan security forces is already seeing success in areas like Nawa and Garmshir and Helmand province. And while commanders on the ground assess their situations in their own areas of operation, one thing General Mills said he is pleased with is the success of the coalition's winter campaign against the insurgency.
The campaign was designed to maintain pressure on the enemy throughout the traditional non-fighting months, the months in which he is traditionally been used to taking a break. And the progress I think we saw on the battlefield reflected he was wearing out. The guys were wearing out. And there was disruption among his command and control elements because, again, they weren't used to that tempo of operations.
But during the spring resurgence, General Mills expects ISAF troops will see the enemy try to take back the areas of Helmand, where some 45,000 farmers took part in a crop substitution program, yielding a significant rise in wheat production and a nosedive for poppy crops, essentially cutting off a large base of drug funding for the insurgency and likely forcing a tough enemy counterattack.
Our job now is to anticipate how that counterattack will come. And General Tulin and the Marines over there are working that very hard. I think they will blunt that before he's able to really get underway. They're well positioned and well resourced to counter it, and I think that the enemy commander will be very, very surprised when he returns to the battlefield and he finds a very different environment than the one that perhaps he left last summer.
As General Mills explained, the bottom line remains: create an Afghan state that is strong enough to both operate independently and to sustain its own security and governance, with the coalition in place just long enough to keep the insurgency from returning. Reporting from the Pentagon, I'm Marine Sergeant Sgt Bryant.
The use of new technology constantly changes the performance of daily tasks and reshapes how we view our surroundings. As Petty Officer Cody Hudson shows us, this is true even for the military.
Barely a decade ago, the idea of fighting wars and directing artillery with the aid of a pocket-sized computer seemed reserved for a galaxy far, far away. But on today's battlefields of Afghanistan, one soldier is boldly going where no man has gone before by developing a program capable of this and more, wielded from the Apple iPhone.
Tactical Nav, it's an iPhone app made obviously exclusively for the iPhone. It basically combines three components: a compass, a map, and a camera. And all three functions are based around the military grid reference system.
In a society in which an increasing number of people own GPS-capable smartphones, Springer developed this program as a means of placing would-be expensive technology in the hands of the everyday soldier for about $6.
If you're sighting in on an object, and I want to call for fire with mortars or artillery or walk a CCA or CAS aircraft on, I can sight in on, that fighting position and lock the compass so then I can, hold the phone if I have to take cover again, and it'll lock that data so that I can call up to the aircraft.
I love it. With something like that in our palm or in our hand, I think we'd have an overview of everything that we need to accomplish a mission.
Despite Springer's own investment of more than $30,000 in the development of this program, a chance at saving the lives of soldiers in the field far outweighs the cost.
Hopefully this has an impact, a positive impact and an effect on the soldier, on the Marine, on the service member. And if it saves one person's life, one service member out on the battlefield, then that one download, that one purchase has paid off.
Reporting from Combat Outpost Hanak Miracle in Kunar Province, Afghanistan, I'm Petty Officer Cody Hudson.
U.S. forces recently met with local leaders in order to build better bonds with local Afghans. Petty Officer Santos Huante has more on the way forward.
Command Emergency Response Program, or CERP, is a vital tool for U.S. forces working with the Afghan government. CERP provides funding for projects involving local contractors and creating jobs for the area. But to do that, U.S. forces must know what is needed.
We found the best way to do that is to engage with the local government, and here that also means village elders. They let the local government officials know what needs to be done, and then we work with those officials to provide the resources.
CERP gives commands a chance to address immediate concerns, but there is also a long-term goal.
The vision for all of Afghanistan, and that is a self-sustaining government that can provide for its own people and provide for its own security, and have a future as a peaceful nation.
Reporting from Forward Operating Base Dadadi 2 in Balkh Province, Afghanistan, I'm Petty Officer Santos Wante.
That's a look at what's happening downrange. Download or watch these stories anytime on demand at PentagonChannel.mil.